Hello, Bhaiya. I am Yutik Sajjan from Alumni Cell. I am in the tenure of Alumni Cell for 23, 24 years, and right now, I will personally introduce you guys to our 13 IP alumni Deepak Bhaiya. He is currently doing his postdoc on Geo-Anthropology in Max Planck Institute, and he will tell more about him right now of himself, and we will get to know about his academia life here and outside, how and also how it impacted him as a person, and what he is doing right now, how he get to do that also we will discuss in this meeting. So let's get started. So, hello, Bhaiya. Can you also
Hello.
once again officially introduce yourself to us?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So I'm Deepak, and I was 13 IP student. We started in 2015, no, 2013, and then I continued my PhD after my master's with Professor Prasanta Sanyal in Department of Earth Sciences and Stable Isotope Laboratory. And then I moved for my postdoc for few months, for 3 months actually, for IISER Mohali. And then after that, subsequently in June, June 2021, I moved to Max Planck Institute of Geo-Anthropology, which is based in Jena, as part of Eastern Germany.
So, for before coming to IISER Kolkata, where did you get to do your BSc, and how did you decide that you want to do geology as a bachelor's and then pursue on it for career after 12th?
Yeah, actually, I was born and brought up in Delhi, and then after 12th, I joined Delhi University for my geology degree in earth sciences. It was not actually the BSc course; it was integrated MSc course too in earth sciences, which I joined based on IIT rank. And at that time, we used to have uh, there was two type of ranks in IITJ. One who gets direct to the IIT, and one's like waiting list, which I forgot what they call it, but it's like waiting list of IITJ. So based on that, you get admission to some other courses as well. So there was one course called Integrated MSc in Earth Sciences in Delhi University, which was launched in that time. And the curriculum of that course was designed such a way that it will integrate different discipline, like interdisciplinary like course, which caught my attention through news media coverage. At that time, it was advertised, and even though I got admission in some I like engineering degrees, but somehow I don't know what pulled me in that earth science direction to opt it. But yeah, I did apply for that integrated course, and then yeah, somehow I joined it. And but after doing the first 3 years of course in Delhi University, I did realize that it's a field where I can do long term study. It's not about just getting a job because it was I was very much involved in those fundamentals question of earth sciences, which we you most of the you get teach in earth system science classes in IISER Kolkata as well. So I decided to do something in that direction and opted for my somewhere like I was looking for where I can go for higher education, instead of not completing MSc in Delhi University because of lack of instrumentation, because of my engineering thinking that I wanted to be engineer initially before joining geology. I was always fond of having access to instrumentation, so I could have some access to it. And in Delhi University, we did not had anything. So I decided to move to IISER Kolkata because of the stable isotope laboratory. So before joining the IISER Kolkata, it was already planned in my mind that I would do in
Oh,
stable
so
isotope
you
work.
then googled the profile of Prasanta sir, and then you saw that his lab does this, and you planned
That's
that.
this, yeah.
So, for you in bachelor's in Delhi University, it was also as same as us BSMS graduates from IISERs, right? You had
Not
how many subjects did you
not
have?
not pretty similar, but like kind of multidisciplinary because I studied for 2 semester chemistry, physics, and mathematics along with geology. So it was like similar, but yeah, just for 1 year, not for 2 years.
Oh, so
that you guys
then
have.
it was only
Yeah.
like four subjects for you. Here, like as we have like five subjects with like physics, chemistry, earth science, and biology also. You did not have biology.
No, I did not have biology.
And so after coming here, like what was the difference in the after coming just coming to campus? Did you feel any difference that yeah, like is it was it better for you or was it like worse for you? As it was very initial days for like IISER Kolkata.
Yeah, so if, it's very interesting days because in 2013 the campus which now everyone is living, it was not really prepared for boys. It was just we had only one building which was prepared for only girls in 2013, and we used to live Mensa hostel, which is very near to your Haringata farm, the dairy farm. Just it's a walking distance away. We used to live there as a integrated PhD student, but that area is like full covered by the forest, and you see lots of snakes and everything. And for
Yeah.
me, coming from Delhi, it was really surprising to see these things. And the most important factor, which I realized for first few months, was like food. Being from the extreme northern part, you can say that that coming to the Kolkata, initial experience to the food was not very pleasant, and because not only because of the food of West Bengal, but because of the mess system we have at that
Exactly,
time.
exactly.
So yeah, so it was there. So yeah, it was all started with that. So initial few months, I was in the thinking that I can go back to Delhi because it was not pleasant enough to stay, and that too in hostel life with very less access to many facilities. There is nothing to hang out with, going out. But I somehow, with the help of friends, that's I call friends, which force you to stay and adapt to new conditions. And even though it was tough, but with friends, it was very memorable and enjoyable. And then I adapted, yeah, very well.
So like after like coming, we talked about how your experience was. It was very like we can say that it was a new kind of experience for you, just
Yeah.
coming from a like metropolitan city and then coming to not even Kolkata itself in Kalyani. You get to
Kalyani, yeah.
yeah, you get to see like so much greenery, and it has its pros and cons itself.
Yeah.
So
So
and what was the like then again? How was your masters like? How were the like course structure? How would you say the hardness for you was?
yeah, so yeah, again, for any university student who has done their bachelor studies in some university and coming to join integrated courses, so the IISER Kolkata really at that time, I don't know about now what they have the separate structure or not, curriculum for integrated first 2 years of MSc or not, but it was involved with we were taught courses with the BSMS student of third year BSMS student who was just getting enrolled as a major student in earth sciences. So for me, particularly in geology, I will not talk about other discipline, but with the earth sciences, it was pretty easy because most of the things I was mostly aware with. So most of the time we did not really focused on the classes. We focused on enjoying our friendship and IISER Kolkata itself. So yeah, it was not really tough in terms of course wise. It was pretty easy, and I was more focused on the lab aspect direct after joining the IISER Kolkata.
So like as an IPHD student, you get to like directly contact with the person you want to. As you already had researched upon like Prasanta sir, so you approached
Yeah.
him directly after coming here.
Yeah. It was well decided that I want to join, but yeah, you also have restriction about choosing faculty when you have too many students. So you cannot like everyone cannot go to one faculty or others. So yeah, it's also you also have a condition like called uh, lab rotation. Yeah, we also had a lab rotation. So you visit to different labs for a few weeks or a few months, depending on the structures and the availability of the lab. And then you move around and see which may you may see that the other labs is much better than compared to what, depending on your interest as well. So it was not pretty defined what I will do, but I was like, I want to access instruments. So it was not pretty clear about my research ideas at that time, but I was pretty clear about I want to get access to some instrument facility which I want to be expert of. So that was the scenario. So we in our science we had several labs where we have instrumentation. So I was too keen to explore others, so I did lab rotation in different labs, and then finally decided to move with Prashanta Sandel lab.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, which labs did you visit, like during your time?
So during my time, there was a lab which is not there now. It's an environmental lab. It was run by Dr. Sutapa Bose. I think she's not there now. And apart from that, I visited the lab of Dr. Tarun Dalai, sir, and also one of the coursework I did with geophysics with Supriyo sir lab, but it was not Supriyo sir as a PI, which I did term paper, something related to that. The faculty which I did, he also moved out of IISER Kolkata now, but and then finally the last was the Prashanta Sandel, because I wanted to explore first because I had a keen interest to stable isotope. And the end I went to the Prashanta Sandel lab and then I stayed. So it was a journey. Like I did like rotate 4 different labs.
And also, so after like the my next question would be that can you like describe your transition from undergraduate studies here, like from your MS to your postgraduate studies? How was the experience for you? Like we all had a question in mind that after masters, how would we do a PhD? So what was it for you? Like the transition for you, how was it?
So exactly, it all depends on your the interest. Yeah, not only about research interest, but also about the background you have in terms of your support system from the family. Because the research in terms of doing PhD, it's not very short term thing. And if you have a financial burden or something to from your family side, you have to balance it out and sort it out too. I also had those problems. So I had to go through those questions from my parents to go for job or for PhD. But as I said, during my bachelor study itself, I decided to go for higher studies, and somehow I don't know like how I managed it, but I did manage. I tried to manage with uh, the things with my questions from my parents, the question which they had. Somehow I managed them, and then the thing was like about transition to PhD. It's very I think it will be different experience for everyone. So it's very personal thing as well, and but it also depends on your faculty member under which you are doing this, and you want to continue, or if you want to move outside, but you still need those support. You're doing your master thesis from your faculty supervisor. So yeah, it's the main thing. And then, but because I was keen to do PhD in IISER Kolkata, not to move out for my PhD work, so I got support from Prashanta Sanyal to design my own master thesis. It was not that he gave me some topic and I was doing that, or he gave me some lab work, and I was doing that. But it was like I started my like research career in my master thesis itself, where I design my own questions for what I want to do, which can sustain long term, and which can include different discipline as well, not just one discipline. So yeah, it required lots of reading, but yeah, because of, and if you have a good support system, you can do really well in that regard. So I did started my master thesis in such a way which can continued in my PhD.
So, like after you continued the PhD work, so like how was the like what was the first topic that you researched upon? Like how did you start your research career? As what was the question? Like the question for you, the immediate question for you, the question of interest that started your career in like earth sciences as a PhD student.
Yeah, so in geology you have like multiple subjects, and particularly and it all subject has some relation with the time frame that we call geological time scale. I was very much interested in quaternary time period, which is the quaternary period is the most recent period in which humans evolved to become Homo sapiens. So arrived presence of Homo sapiens on that particular geological time frame. I was interested in the older time frame too, but not that much. So that the quaternary has a very special thing for my research, and I don't know, I had affinity towards it. And then because it was related to humans, it was related to the several glacial. If you read about this particular geological time scale, this is quaternary, is so diverse in terms of climate, so diverse in terms of fauna evolution and extinction. There are several events happening in this particular time period
भाई
where we
गाली मत
live.
दे भाई.
And it was the main driving force me
तुरंत
to
वीडियो भेज.
decide do something which has not been really done in very in deeper time scale. If we say deeper time scale, like understanding this human environment interaction was my thing, like how and when this human evolution took place, and what was the role of climate in that. So there are the biological aspect of it, there are climate aspect of it, and which was the driving force. And it started during my undergrad course, because we had a course during undergrad in Delhi University. It's called Evolution of Life Through Time. So that was the course which pushed me towards doing something in this quaternary time scale.
So like,
And the question is, I wanted to explain the question that I answered. Like I wanted to always find something in India which has some evidence of human, the past human, the prehistoric humans, which we don't really know about,
in the
the Homo sapiens.
Paleozoic time scale. Like
No, the Paleozoic is too old. Paleozoic is too old for
okay.
this type of study.
Okay,
It's called Paleolithic. In archaeology, it's called Paleolithic.
Okay.
Lithic is a stone,
Yeah.
and paleo is the old
past.
stones. The Paleolithic, yeah. The Paleolithic is a term which is part of time scale of quaternary, and quaternary is only 2.58 million years old. And within that time frame, we have this evidence of lithic stone tools, which was used by humans. Which humans? We have very diverse type of humans, like Neanderthals, Homo sapien, Homo erectus, Denisovans. So there are different varieties, like species we had in the past, and and all were affected by somehow with the geographical and environmental parameters. And because of that, they migrated from different regions to India, like India or Asia, from Asia to Southeast, like Southeast Asia to Australia. So there was very diverse scale movement in the past, and it was all mostly driven by the climate parameters. So my question was that, and I tried to explore archaeological papers and to club it with the geological aspect, and to understand those interactions and see if there was any relation in India itself, which we call like effect on their population change or their adaptation to different biomes specifically. So yeah, I started with those rough questions, very roughly, but yeah, I finished in the scale where we tried to establish those relationship in during my PhD actually, and based in India. So this was like kind of first time study which was done on those scale.
So, for you, can you describe what type of methods like instrumentation or like skill you picked up as a PhD student here? Like, what did you learn for your earth sciences studies, and can you just briefly explain like what was the trending topics at your time that you wanted to explore. Also, other than your work, as you worked on quaternary periods, also there would be other topics, right, that you had in mind that I would also want to explore these topics.
Yeah.
So for that, how much, which instrumentation or skills did you require as a PhD student that you learned at that time?
Yeah, actually, so the because the earth science is has very
Yeah,
wide
exactly.
wide coverage. Yeah, so deciding of one topic is very difficult for some student, but it also depends on the like what you really like during your classes when you attended those the introductory classes of earth sciences or some specialized courses, for example, the hydrology, geomorphology, and there are several courses which uh, the professor taught you during your BSMS curriculum, even for first 2 years as well of your BSMS. So the thing was like I had a very wide interest apart from quaternary as well. So I had interest on dinosaur extinction, for example.
Yeah.
Why did dinosaur extinct, and what was the role of climate, or what was the role of what happened during that time in terms of environmental aspect, or why they actually died
What was
and
that? Maybe
extinct
it
completely.
biological, maybe it environmental, whatever the aspect.
Environmental, yeah. So yeah, it's still we have answers, but there are open questions in within that whole big questions framework. That was the one of the aspect which I could have opted for if I was not allowed to do this what I did in my PhD. That was one, and there was another aspect which I am very curious about is the hydrological cycle, and particularly related to the rivers, river water. So I also had an interest in river waters chemistry, and with particularly the zone, particularly the when the river flows on the surface, it has interaction with the groundwater, and but between the interaction with the groundwater and the river water, we have different zones within those soil layer, and that affect they have lots of biological activity going on, which helps in purification of water, and also interaction between this groundwater and surface water also help them to survive in this very small like zone. The biospheric zone within those two layer of water, we have sediments, and that was a very interesting like things which I also learned during my undergrad as well as during my PhD, which was like another option out of way, which I did in a paleo environmental reconstruction. Apart from this, these were the another thing which is has modern implication to the like modern society to understand the purification system of river water and how these biological bacteria or like communities living in those interaction, how they are helping in purification of the system. So that's the another one. But yeah, it's like it's all comes with your attending your classes and also looking for what they are teaching and looking for the internet, like see what are the application of this isotope. I was interested in isotope, so I always used to search the related topic related to isotope, what's happening in this particularly let's say if I'm into 2024, I still do some research on isotope, and I try to see what is the trending topic in 2024 in Google Scholar. So what are the new topics coming up, how the peoples are answering some questions using these particular techniques. Exactly. So yeah, the isotope was the common things which can be applied in all those things which I said. Either it's dinosaur extinction, it is a like modern water chemistry, or what I did in quaternary time scale. So I use it's called isotope ratio mass spectrometer. It's called IRMS, which we have in IISER Kolkata. And this IRMS can be used to measure carbon isotopes, hydrogen isotopes, mostly stable isotopes. So we have radiogenic isotopes and stable isotopes. But my what I did expertise in stable isotopes, mostly carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, specifically these three things. The carbon isotopes tell you about the photosynthetic pathway of plants and the fractionation between like C3 or C3 plants or C3 photosynthetic pathway or C4 photosynthetic pathway, and water and oxygen. Water has oxygen and hydrogen. These tell us you about the hydrological cycle of those things. So this was the whole things, and the IRMS was the key instrument which you need. But again, it was like IRMS has been used for more than now, like I would say more than 60 or 80 years old things concept, the measuring of isotopes. But within the isotopes, we are growing in a way. We need precision, so high precisions, and the samples as we work with geological sample, the old samples, and we also have to be very secure about diagenesis, like it's effect, it changes. Like for example, it was preserved something in that time, but with time it releases oxygen. It had gone through different fractionation or several effects like temperature changes or the burial of the sediments with the something else, it may change. So you also need to advance techniques which can take care of other factors which can affect your values. So it was like advancement in isotopes, which is another topic we can discuss. Like what I did separately from the isotopes is like it's called lipid biomarkers, which is the new techniques in last 10 years. It has growing and in the field. The IISER Kolkata lab has those facility, and I was new at that time, so it was like at the right time, at right moment, I was there when those facilities was there too. So yeah, it was like kind of luck, you say, and it was growing in that field. So, and utilized in a manner like no one was using it in India. Particularly, I would not say India, but the whole South Asia. There was not a single study doing this lipid biomarkers in archaeological context, talking about human evolution and talking about this relationship. No one was working on it, but it was very trendy in US and mostly Europe, not even the US,
Like
in
in
European
the
system.
archaeological aspect, right? It was the lipid.
Uh,
The specific technique was it used for biology mostly, like for identifying the specific lipid molecules and other things, right? At that time, at your time, for
no,
it then.
No, it's grown like it was available in other countries, but for India it was like the that time we had those facility at that I joined in 2015 the stable isotope lab, and the instrument was got like installed in 2014 or 13, I think 13 or 14 within the transition. So it was like the first installation in kind of India.
Oh,
So
okay.
we
So
did not
like.
had a facility. So yeah, so it was there like outside, but it was not that too old. It was like very recent development even in the world. But IISER Kolkata got that facility just at
Just
the
like
same
in,
time when I
yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
it was
Yeah.
at its initial phase. You got to do a new kind of technique and learn it and apply it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you had kind of an advantage like in your specific area of expertise, right? Like as you
Yeah.
went on to work with it.
Yeah, but yeah, the application was it was being used by us like several scientists around the world, but in very different directions, not only on the specific. So it has application in a very diverse range of research and discipline. But for what I did in like in India, it was like first of its kind in South Asia, where people have tried to develop something from using this high end technique, not only the isotopes, but the lipid biomarkers based isotopes. So it was the first of its kind where we tried to develop these things. And yeah, it went well. So yeah, you can consider like I was lucky too.
So, can you just shortly give an idea of how this lipid biomarker isotoping technique works? Like, as of just from the name, I guess it should be like in our body, as we consume something from there, we do. Is it that, or like, is it something else?
No, it's also that what you are talking about, but what I got expertise in IISER Kolkata is different.
Okay.
So the lipid I worked on is a plant lipid.
Okay.
It's coming from the plant leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So every plant leaf has a coating on the superficial coating, the waxy layer on top of it, which is signing. When you take a leaf, you will see there is a signing layer on top of it, because of which you don't see the water droplets always fall away.
Protecting
Is
from
a waxy layer
evaporation, over evaporation.
evaporation. Yeah, over evaporation, or like many other factors like protecting from the
Heat and
insects,
insects.
heat, insects, and everything. So many things are there. So those waxy layers has these lipids, and the lipids are consistent. Like has many different chemical compounds, and one of them is called N-alkanes, the alkanes. And the alkanes, and alkane can have it can vary in different chains. Like it has very diverse range of chains. It can be C5 to like pentane, hexane, aptane to like you can go to C35, C36 carbon. Pentane has 5 carbon to C35 if you can go that. And then plant produce particularly the alkanes, which is C25 to C35.
Okay.
And that too is a very typical signature of alkane, like dominance of odd carbon over even carbon is a very typical terrestrial plant signature, the plant signature. And if you get it into your sediments, if you're analyzing sediment, and you can get those lipid out of your sediments, because when plant die, it's become part of your top layers, the soil layers, and with time it's preserved. So we have worked even within the India lab, the isotope lab in IISER Kolkata has worked in even the Cretaceous samples till the modern samples, and they got this lipid signature preserved. And measuring because these I am talking about carbon hydrogen in alkane. Alkane is made of carbon and hydrogen, and if you can measure this carbon isotope of this carbon and the hydrogen isotopes from this hydrogen from those alkane, you can talk about the photosynthetic pathway of plants living at that time belongs to your sample age, and the hydrological cycle, the type mostly the monsoon system, because most of the hydrological thing in India, even the river system and everything is dominant factor is monsoon, the monsoon rainfall. You can talk about the rainfall change in the past. So these are the two factors which can be used from this plant lipid biomarkers specifically.
So in this case, like after you did your work on this, like specific type of field of like from your quaternary period of like you research on the quaternary period and this specific type of lipid biomarkers isotoping technique. What did you transition into your postdoc work right now? What you are doing? Can you just like briefly tell us about?
So it's not pretty much like completely different what I did in my PhD, but the time scale is different. Though in PhD, I was working with the time scale of 100,000 years, old sediments to the modern. Now I'm working with the 400,000 years old sediments to the modern. So that the theory I proposed in Indian context, talking about the Paleolithic, the humans and the environment, is now going back to 400,000 year old, and then talking about how if that are we going the older system, how those relationship was there. So and then that too, I'm initially in PhD I worked in the fluvial environments like the river system, the sites, the if you say the archaeological site preserved in the river system, to now the archaeological sites preserved in the modern day desert system. So the modern day desert system of Saudi Arabia and the Thar Desert of India. So it was the one of the is called dispersal route for the migration from the like Africa to India or like Africa to Asia. So they migrated through this, and there was a different time window where those desert system which you now see as a desert was not desert at all. It was forested in past. So at what time it was forested and what was the climate, what was the precipitation condition, I'm like walking in those direction. So in that time in PhD, I was very specific on the local theoretical concept of this human environment interaction within those river system in India based in. Now I'm working on the global scale of migration theory from Africa to Asia and how those climate system at that time and those dispersal route was there, how preferable those were in that time. So yeah, it's a bit like broader aspect of what I did in my PhD. But yeah, using a very similar technique, and it's like primary project as a primary project what I'm doing here. But I'm in postdoc, you not only work on your one topic or one project. In postdoc, you have to opt for one primary project, which is your own project as an independent PI, which you get like in particularly in the Max Planck this opportunity where you are the most like main person for that particular project. You have to take care of it. No one will question about it. No one will talk about it. But you have to additionally contribute to the other projects where your specializes matches with the others, and if they need you. So I'm involved in 12 different projects around the world.
12 different like at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. So yeah, because you have to explore. Yeah, it's like this is the time you have to be show that you are independent, doing your own work, but you are collaborative enough to contribute in different aspect of science and different discipline as well as different time scale. So it's not only the time scale I'm working with my project. Now I'm working in Morocco, for example, with the collaborators where they are exploring more than 2 million years old deposits, which is archaeological sites, and talking about out of Africa theory in a very small scale, geographically. And then I'm working with in Amazon system, Amazon forest system, where the indigenous community and how they are preparing their breads, for example. So they had indigenous bread, and which is like almost 2,000 year old, and it was preserved in archaeological sites. and I'm helping them to identify using these biomarkers, identify the composition of those bread. So this is the another things. And then we have a project where I'm working with the people with Armenia to talk about pottery. They have potteries preserved in archaeological sites. So we are talking about diet of peoples, what they were eating. So they were diet specifically vegetable diets, or they have fish specific diets, or some meat specific diet, or even the meat which species they were really eating in terms of, yeah. So this is very diverse things which I'm doing currently. But yeah, primary project is still very much similar, close to PhD topic, but in a wider global scale.
So my this question may not be very relevant, but like, how did the like 2,000-year-old bread survive till today? Like,
No,
how?
it's not survived in the real form. That's
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
cannot in the first time you cannot really say this is bread. This is just a kind of stone.
Hmm.
But
Okay, okay.
when you do,
So it was.
when you do analyze, but we know that this is archaeological site. Whatever materials coming off is getting analyzed through scanned through different methods. So it's getting scanned. So we scanned it, and it looks like, because bread has some pore space, and it's not wood. So we first identified it's not wood. So wood versus something which has very porous structures. We came up with this. That's, oh, this is a bread, but we had to know what's the composition of bread. So we also analyze the modern breads in those indigenous community where they are eating at the modern time, and then we also try to use those knowledge in the modern system to analyze those indigenous, the ancient bread as well.
So regarding like right now, as you are working with 12 different aspects of like research, and also you are working in your own time scale of expertise also.
Yeah.
Uh, so how do you manage your work-life balance, and like at the same time, how do you do multitasking? Like, what is the secret?
So I would not say it's a secret. It's just like management. Yeah, so like there is you have to manage things
Mm-hmm.
and prioritize things. So there is like you always have to make a priority list. So anytime, and even in your PhD, you will have several work at a time, which needs to be finished as soon as possible. But doesn't mean as soon as possible is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you always have to make priority list, which is required today and which is not for today. So it's like you divide. For each project, you have to give it some specific time, and each project requires some deadline. So you also have to follow that last deadline, that timeline what they have. So always set my deadlines 1 month before what my collaborators requires, in terms of getting information out of me or from my instruments technique that I'm helping with. So set a priority list, and based on that you give time. But I do not dedicate my whole day in one specific topic or one specific project. I try to be like, oh, 2 hours, 3 hours I give in one project, I move to other one. So within a week of like, I will say 5 days, not 7 days, to say that I still there is a work-life balance. So those 5 days of your week should be dedicated to like 10 different projects, for example. So if you give half days for each project.
So, and again, if you were given a research project with a limited budget, say, and you were like told with tight deadlines, how would you plan and explain? Like, how would you approach that?
So it's again, it's a different question. So the budget is a very different issue at all, which I'm not facing here, being in Max Planck Institute.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I never,
But like, just
yeah,
a
I have
hypothetical
never had.
situation. If you were not doing a Max Planck, say, if you were doing any in any country where like this project you were given has very like tight budget issues or like tight deadline issues, like any it can be anything. So how would you approach that? What would be the first thing in managing that? As you said, like prioritizing like an aspect. So like how what would you prioritize at that thing like what would be the first thing that you think to manage that?
Yeah, yeah. So the project, every project, when you talk about project, is
Mm-hmm.
it's not about like delivering the end result. The like when you write a project, you have a very diverse questions and very global or very wide range of questions within your project. But when you do research, you have to break down into several small scales questions. And project doesn't means that if you have a deadline for 3 years, so you have to finish every objective that you started with within that 3 years. But whatever you started with, it should get reflected that you progressed is very important. So, for example, let's say I targeted with three wide objective, but those within that three wide objective, my first objective yielded three different papers, for example. I'm saying, and I ended with that only one objective yielding three papers. Even though I did it in academia, this is a progress, and you did well. And again, in terms of budget, because I'm working with very interdisciplinary research, where I'm collaborating with the geologists, archaeologists, somewhat the biologists, and then anthropologists, and then now we also with the social scientists to understand the modern thing as well. So it's like when you are doing this type of work is very different. So you ask for help. You cannot be expert in all those disciplines. Is a very like I don't know how it will be reviewed by Indian scientists at this moment, but being expert in all those fields is not required. Actually, is not required for anyone. You be expert of one specific things and walk in your own directions, but what you are doing is required somewhere else, but it's not in that scale. It's a very small scale component. So like, oh, just that I'm saying that I'm involved in different collaborative projects, but I'm not giving my 100% to all of them. So, because they don't require my 100%. They require some of my knowledge, some part of my time, what I have every day. So this is very important to understand that, oh, I have limited budget. I want to do these things, and I cannot do this within this timeline because I don't have funding. I don't have time to learn new technique. So what I can do is I will do, and what I cannot do, I will collaborate. And at the same time, I will give a deadline. Please do this for me, and we can do work together. This is going towards a good publication, and we are answering this particular specific question which is really required at this modern time. So this is how you have to convince. You have to convince the people that it's really a good question so that they can contribute your time, because no one wants to contribute on a topic which doesn't yield anything in terms of research. So convincing is another power. You have to convince people to work on your project without giving any salary. It's not about salary. It's just about contributing in science. So yeah, this is the one way where you collaborate, give a task, different component of tasks to other people at the same time, and you are working on your own at what pace because it's your project. You have to give your 100%, but you are getting help from several other people.
So the better the communication skill, the easier it is to collaborate. As of you would say, how you.
It's not about only. It's not about communication skill only. It's also about I would not say the communication skill. It's about your project as well. Topic should be very interesting. So you have to select the person very wisely. So you cannot you should know that by his topic, his or her profile, that they may be interested in your project. So first thing is that getting know the people that may be interested in your work is very important. Then only, even though you have a good communication skill, but you are approaching to the wrong person, will not yield any results. So it's depends on that also.
So my next question would be where do you see yourself in the next coming years, as in in academia or in industry, or what is your future plan regarding after your postdoc?
Yeah, it's very interesting question for all postdocs. I think so. Everyone is going through the phase where because the opportunity that what I did in my PhD is I'm involving the instrumentation technique, stable isotopes lab has those facilities, the GCMS, GCIRMS, like gas chromatography instruments, isotope ratio instruments, and these are the company which produce these results. They also need the scientists who know and who can understand the result generated by the instruments. So I have options to go to the industry like this. It's called Thermo, Agilent. There are several who makes instruments, and they need scientists who can interpret, who can be the maybe in the company, and they also require a PhD degree, like people who can really help and who has experience in doing these type of science using their own instruments. So this is the option I also have, and it's based in Germany, but what it's required is understanding what you want. So you have options in when you go out abroad and you do postdocs. You will have a wider options, and you can go in both directions. Either you are from biology or physics or chemistry or earth science, you will have an option for industry versus academia. But it's all about what you wanted to go for it, and identifying that aspect is also based on several other factors. Again, at this moment of transition from PhD to postdoc and being 3 years of postdoc, you also have you also have to see the family at the background. So yeah, it's a balance between, again, at the stage where you have to balance both of them. For me, what I have thought about it several times, and what I'm working on it is to go back India. Is the
Like
end
you
of the,
end of
like,
end of
finally I
your
want to
PhD.
get settled. Yeah, yeah. So the final aim is to go back India, but where and when is not in my hand actually. So yeah, I'm still working on it. I will be, yeah, looking for jobs because they require 3 years post PhD experience, which is like now it's getting completed.
Mm-hmm.
In June, I will be like 3 years in the Germany. So yeah, so we'll be looking forward to go back as soon as possible. But yeah, like there are several factors which affects applications and the final selections in Indian academia. So I have to see. But yeah, also depends on that you want to go to university, you want to go to research institutes, you want to develop your own lab, or you want to just be a teacher, or you want to be just collaborate and do research as well as teaching. So these are the factors which also play a role in your application. So where you want to submit applications. So there are several factors, and you have to evaluate based on your own potential. And you are the only person that's who knows yourself, like, more than anyone can judge you. From my CV, what people will understand, I know more than that. What, because I
Yeah,
wrote that
exactly.
CV. So you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to judge myself first, where I fit very well in those Indian academia, and then according to that, I have to send my applications.
So, like you are thinking of, so most of the part as of you said, I get it that you are trying to be applying for to be a professor, right? Am I right?
Yeah,
So, like after,
yeah.
so like what is your right now? What are the target institute of you? Like central universities or private universities or anything is your option? Like,
See, this is a again, this question doesn't make in that sense,
yeah,
because
in
my
that
target,
sense,
it
but
doesn't
like
mean,
just like.
yeah. So because I can move anywhere where, because I my preference is to have laboratory. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to develop a laboratory which will be dedicated to quaternary studies involving archaeology, anthropology, geology,
Mm-hmm.
everything. So like interdisciplinary lab
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to this quaternary time scale involving different factors. But you may get these facility in some university, either it's a state or it's a central or it's a IITs or IISERs.
It can be
It's not
anywhere.
a preference at this moment anywhere. But as long as I will get those facility, I will be like happy to move to
Yeah.
that those. So there is not a specific target, but I'm looking for who can provide it or who already has it. So depending on those, the application will change. Yeah.
And like right now, like
Mm.
how is your life in Germany? As you would say, like what are the key factors that make you motivated every day, and what are the differences you see in the university in here and in an outside in Europe? What are the differences in your eyes?
No, again, it's very specific. Actually, it's also very specific in terms of, because transition from Delhi University to IISER Kolkata was very different. From
Mm-hmm.
IISER Kolkata to Max Planck is very different. So it's getting like smaller and smaller. The experience is getting smaller in terms of social interactions. It's also because Delhi University has lots of students. It's a very big university, and it's very open to, like, in terms of the campus wise. But when you come to IISER Kolkata, it gets shrink in that times. You have less interaction, less people to interact with, and also depends, like, it's get less specific. I was in Delhi University in studying and interacting with different discipline. This discipline not within the science, but in commerce, in arts as well. But when I went to IISER Kolkata, I was restricted within the science community. Okay, now I have moved to Max Planck. Is the Max Planck Institute has very different approach of having institute, research institute. It's a very specific topic wise institute. So I based in Geo-Anthropology. So I'm interacting with a very small research community whose interests are matching with each other. It's called Geo-Anthropology. So like, see, this interaction will change, and every time you have to adapt with this transition, and you have to understand what you really need and what you can get it from the system. Like, for every system has their advantage and disadvantage. So I would say the Max Planck has the advantage of having those unlimited funding, and you can do whatever you want at whatever scale you want. You can spend whatever you want, and but at the same time you have less social interaction. So your personal life and social life is very much restricted to yourself, or within a very small community of researcher. And that too, you don't have any undergraduate study here in Max Planck. You don't have any master degree here. You only have a PhD students, that too affiliated to somewhere else, and just using the lab facility here. So it's most of the time it's a community of postdocs and the permanent researcher who based in Max Planck Research Institute. So it's getting very smaller in that direction. So we'll say the life in Max Planck is very different, because your till PhD in IISER Kolkata, I was considered student. So it's a change between student to being a researcher. At that too in the Max Planck has different. If you go to the university, you may have different experience for sure, because university has a wider community. You will interact with the wider community, and your social interaction will be very different. Your social experience will be very different. What I have. So for me, it was very restricted, very small, being in Max Planck. But in terms of research, it's the best. But in terms of social life, it's worst.
No.
So, so it's you have to, like, everyone has a balance. So
Everything has its pros
yeah,
and cons.
cause yeah. So that's the thing. So yeah, it's good, but not really great in terms of social life.
Like, yeah, here in college we get to, like, in IISER Kolkata also, I would say that there's a diverse community that, like, you can
Yeah.
interact with from all over the India itself, not
Yeah.
not like a restricted specific part of it. So, like, there's a flavor of all part of India, in, like, you get to communicate with, and then you, like, as of you said, like, I would summarize
Yeah.
that it is very restricted. So that's a, like, thing for Indians, right? Like, as an Indian, you feel that there should be, like, more people whom you can converse in with your mother tongue. So that would be better.
Yeah. Better. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, as an Indian, it's a problem, but for others, they are very happy,
yeah,
whatever they have.
for Europeans it's normal. Like, for
Yeah,
like,
it's normal.
yeah.
I
So.
would not say for all European country, but yeah,
Mhm.
some of them for sure, not all.
So also, does did you learn German in this time scale, like, when you were living throughout these 3 years?
Yeah, I would not say I learned, but I can pick up the words, I can reply a few words, but it's all because of being Indian actually.
Okay, okay.
Because being Indian, you learn at least three language.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Indians learn at least three
You
language.
have a knack
That
for
really
language.
makes, yeah,
Everything.
so you already have a like things which you can really picked up, but
Mm-hmm.
so I never take classes, so I would not say I learn it. But I can reply, I can order in food in my restaurants, I can have my take my groceries, and I can pay the bills. So that's what I learned. The
Like,
things
the
was like,
basic
I don't
necessities
never
can be
wanted
done
to.
easily.
Yeah, but it's all depends on what you want. When I came
Mm-hmm.
into Max Planck or even Germany, I never wanted to, like, if from the start I know that I want to go back India.
Okay.
So and don't want to live forever in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't want to like learning, particularly the German language is really tough if you want to go into grammars
Mm-hmm.
and learn it properly. It requires every week minimum 2 hours you have to give your working hours to learning a German language, which you will never use in future if you go back to India. So it was like, for me, I had to decide when I came, because it is funded by Max Planck Institute. So I don't have to pay. It was free classes for me, but I still did not operate it because I wanted to save those 2 hours every week
Mm-hmm. Okay.
to use it for my CV, then so that I can go back India. Then if I would say that I know German, do you think that Indian academia will say, oh yeah, your CV
Yeah,
is
it is
excellent?
not relevant.
Then saying,
Yeah.
yeah, for Indian academia,
Yeah.
but yeah, for others, if you are learning a new language, is a new experience. For me, it would have been like a new experience. I would be more culturally closer to the German culture, and maybe I may have a more better social life. I would suggest. But it's all depends on your long-term plan. My long-term plan is not to stay here. So for people who wants to stay longer, I would suggest to learn so they will have better life in like lifestyle in Germany.
So, is it like so right now? What are the some most exciting developments or like the research topics you would say right now going on, as in your field or regarding geoanthropology, you would say that you want to work on or you are working in?
I would not suggest like very exciting fields. It's very much similar what I started. Like it's very complex system actually. The things that we are working with at this moment is very complex, and within a few years of research works, it will not solve every question. So the questions are still remain same. Particularly giving example for India is a very diverse community. So at the modern system, if you see the Indian map, and if you will try to understand the geomorphology or let's say the biomes, and let's say the precipitation, for example, everyone knows the precipitation, the rainfall. So the rainfall amount, even in the rainfall season, every state receive different amount of rainfall, and that's affect the vegetation community. So the receiving different amount of vegetation means you have less rainfall for vegetation, less amount of water availability. So water availability affects rainfall, vegetation. So you have different type of vegetation depending on the rainfall amount. Similarly, in the past also, the monsoon was there and it affected. So if I would say in my PhD, I worked in one small basin, river basin, and I published a paper based on this small community living in that area, talking about their interaction with the environment, doesn't solve the whole question of India. So yeah, it's still same. So I would explore different parts of India for my future projects. And then after getting knowledge of different parts of India in those particular time frame, which I'm interested with, I can really make a map talking about those this environmental interaction of humans in different like regions of India, and then it will be a like complete story what I really want to convey in this from my research. So in future, this will be development in different part of region, which I already started with some of the collaborations with the new PhD student here based here, but they want to work in India. So it's growing, but it will take time actually. And what was the next question? Actually, I forgot. I think I answered only one aspect of it.
Yeah, like the no, I only asked you this that the what are the recent discoveries or like the recent topics, trending topics. So in your time right now, so we would if you have time we can continue. Otherwise, like I would have some
No,
short questions sessions. Then we can conclude. Uh,
no, you can ask. I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure then. Then like right now, what are the some cutting edge research techniques other than the that like as you mentioned the lipid biomarker, land GCMS, LCMS, and that you use in everyday life. And other than that, what are the some current cutting edge techniques you would say that you see in Max Planck as in your specific area of earth sciences?
So the particularly for my research area, which is now transferred like not completely from geology or earth sciences, but it's like it's mid of geology and archaeology, and that's why I'm based in geoanthropology, geology and anthropology, talking about archaeological science. So it's about the recent development in instrumentation technique, particularly which is very cutting edge, is called JUMS, and which is and proteomics, ancient DNA. These are the new things which is coming up. Ancient DNA, which is also part of sedimentary DNA. So the sediments also contains DNA with the was living in that times, which as the people have already started publishing about it. So these are the recent topic which in India people have not even thinking about. Like they have not started thinking about having those research like domain even within the curriculum. So these are the topic which needs to be highlighted in Indian research, and I think I will be opted to do these new advanced techniques where you can not really. I'm just talking about let's say plants and environment, but I can also identify from those archaeological material or archaeological using the chemical analysis talk about what type of species was there, like for the fecal biomarker. There is a called fecal biomarker. Those fecal biomarkers, if I can separate it out, I can talk about the species, the animal species, or if it was human or it was animal. If it was animal, so which species of animal? So we can talk about that scale. There is not a single paper from the South Asia at this moment, not a single paper, because these are the advanced technique, which is I think in the last 5 years emerged as a new frontiers topics, and maybe in future there will be a few setups in India for sure, because they are advancing. And then we had this called branch GTD techniques, which is required LCM SMS techniques, which now I think IISER Kolkata has it. During my time, it was not there.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Isaac
this
Kolkata has
branch,
it.
the branch GTD techniques can talk about the temperature. So I only worked with the precipitation and the vegetation changes, but now you can also talk about temperature changes in the past, which is the new frontier area and which needs to be explored in future in different scenarios. So temperature is one of the other component which needs to be incorporated in climate models to really predict the future scenario. Only with the precipitation data, it's not really possible. It's a coupling of both.
So, so I can get an idea that right now it is like very exciting. The work you are doing may be complex, but for me, as I'm hearing it, it is I'm feeling very excited. Like
Yeah.
how the things, small things, I can really imagine that even where I'm walking on, I can just pass by a road and take up a sample and then like analyze it and then say it that yeah, it has some relevance to my
Yeah.
work. I can do that easily, right? So, as in like other than academia, right now,
Yeah.
are you invested in any cultural activity or like any specific thing that you like area of like Indian culture, music, art, or anything you are invested in?
No, I think no. I was even in the IISER Kolkata. I was not really involved in the cultural cultural activity, but I was like part of the community. Being the most of the time I was in the background, not
Okay.
the forefront of any activity. And even in here in the Max Planck, the most of the time I'm being part of in cultural events, particularly in the background, supporting the things, events, and everything. As long as it's a part of academic life, I'm more toward the academia, close to the academia than this cultural activity. I don't know why, but I never got into those things, even in the IISER Kolkata. So no, maybe I should, but I never tried it.
And also, so like I would like to ask you separately this
Yeah.
question. You might want to. We can cut this question, this part of the question. This is a very specific type of. If you want to answer, like where do you regard? Matlab, where do you there at the time of this the very viral video of the IISER Kolkata? If you YouTube, if you type IISER Kolkata, then there comes up a video of the mess. There comes all the students and the scenario of the most infamous video of director enrages on a student. Were you at that time in IISER Kolkata? Were you present at that time?
Yeah. Yeah, I was present there at that time. I was part of that gathering. I was in the in the mass protesting about it. So yeah, if you I don't know, like people know about or not the history of protesting against the mass started with the 13 IP batch actually. So it was the 13 IP batch who started it from
Oh,
MNSA.
13 IP
So it
initiated
was
it like in
yeah, is a 13 is a 13 IP who initiated it. And because I told you the start, the first experience with the food with the IISER Kolkata mess in Mensa was very horrible for me. It's but not only people, whole IP batch was living in that time in that Mensa hostel, and there were several protests within the Mensa hostel. When we transferred to Mensa hostel to the next year in this campus, it's also got highlighted more now at that time. And then I think, yeah, I was there, but I would not really comment on like what and why it happened. But yeah, it happened at the end in favor of students. So that was meant to be. We planned it in that sense that this protest should go in favor of student, and that's what happened at the end.
if you want to add something, you can add. It is personally for me only. I can like cut this part.
The no, it's okay. I think there's nothing which I can really recall about it, like specifically, particularly those events. But yeah, it was uh, like one of the major, I think student protest which happened in IISER Kolkata. I would say history actually, which really changed the student life. Actually, it affected the student life at the time, even the future, even the now. So it came into the hand of student, the community. So it's like food for student by a student was the thing, and which is now currently going on. So yeah, I don't know,
So
like
the mess
what
became
I
better.
as
You would say that the mess became better after that incident, like the whole
yeah,
thing and
pretty like I would say 100% better than what we used to had it during that time with
okay.
the vendor system.
Then how would you say the food taste? Did the taste increase or like it was the same as the same cooks were there or something like that?
No, the cook was same. We did not really try to remove any cook of the from the mess because they were the local villagers living in the near the campus. So we really removed that. Only we removed the vendor, nothing else. The system and everyone was same. All the cook was same, but it's affected in the sense because they also the cook involved in that mess. They also realize that's what's happening if they would not increase and they would not really work on their food quality or the making of food better, so the student may affect them as well in the later stage. So they really help, they really understand the situation and they really cook well compared to what I like we had with the vendor system. It really improved a lot. And then because it was a initial days of that thing, so every student has a responsibility to show that this system, the student mess system will work. Because otherwise, if we fail for like first few months, they will again go to the vendor system.
Exactly.
So exactly. So we had that pressure as a student as well to improve it
So it was
and
like a
highlight that
community enthusiasm that
community.
like that it became a responsibility of the whole student community to be responsible for their own mess and food quality and like then have the system work. So like
Work, yeah. It was like system developed in the such a way that there was a system you can complain. You don't have really write the complaint. You just go and complain the cook itself
yeah.
and ask him to recook it. So it was like very uh, in a good sense. It was like it happened and like it was in favor of a student. So yeah, that's what I can really recall. But yeah, there was so many things happening at that time. It was very like. Uh, Interesting as well as like for as a student community as a student it was like also a problematic to be part of that things that event which because so many senior faculties were also involved in that vendor system thing as well. So yeah, but overall it happened with the student in student favor, so I'm happy with it's still going on. So
And also if you sometime anytime you come to IISER Kolkata, you are always welcome to come visit this institute at least once. If you are planning to come by this year or by next year, anytime or in anywhere between, I will be also there to welcome you. And other than that,
yeah.
were you part of Inquiviesta at the first Inquiviesta that happened? As I recall, it happened during your time only. Yeah, no, no, no,
Mm,
not really. It should
no.
be the third or fourth Inquiviesta at your time.
So third year, fourth in Cuesta, yeah.
Yeah,
It was not the initial one. This was
yeah.
not the third. Yeah, it was third or fourth. Third, I think. Yeah, it was the third one, I think.
Were you a part
The
of that and
Inquesta.
like the afterwards? Were you a part of any of it?
Mm, yeah, I was part of it, but not official organizer. As an official organizer, I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
not on the
exactly.
paper. So the most of the time, things I will say that I was never on the paper. Any of those committee or anything, but I was always involved in the background with the committee.
Yeah,
With the committee.
there is always a huge support of student volunteers that otherwise how can we manage?
Yeah. So yeah, I was not really involved in the paper things, so I cannot say that I was on the list, but I was not on the list, but I was part of it, and like in organizing some of the events during the Inquiesta.
So, how was the experience? What was the experience of Inquiesta for you? Like, was it your first fest after being a college student, or did you have a fest priorly in Delhi University also?
Mm, yeah, it was not my first fest. From Delhi University, you have like so many fests, and
Okay,
then
okay,
being integrated master student in Delhi University, I had ID card which was allowed to any college you can go. So I have like experienced so many fest in Delhi University in different colleges in 3 years of my time in Delhi. But I would say that Inquiesta was very different than what Delhi University has it. Delhi University is like more culturally fest. Most of the events is like most cultural driven, and but IISER Kolkata has a very different approach of organizing Inquiesta, like as a fest, is a science fest actually. It's very different than what other normal university. I would not say the other IISERs. IISER system, I'm not aware for other IISER system how they celebrate their fest. But IISER Kolkata was unique in terms of experience because of the activity, scientific activity, and the fun games, which involve something related to science. Yeah, so that's why that was like it was unique, and it was better than like what I experienced, because like I'm not really
Yeah, yeah.
into those cultural event,
Hmm.
but I did attend like many of them in Delhi, and IISER was like better for me actually, much better
For you, like
experience,
it was more engaging, though the specific type of
engaging.
event. So,
Yeah,
can you
that's
name
true.
one of the events that you participated?
I think it's like one of the event where we participate is I would not recall the exact name of these things, but I
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
explain it.
Hmm.
It was about the propelling water system where we can a kind of rocket with using this
Okay,
the system,
thrust.
what you call thrust. Yeah, thrust was
Yeah,
one of the things which I participated
yeah,
initially. Uh, yeah, that was one of the things, and it's still there. I think. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really good.
Thrust is
That's
still there.
people. So people still doing that. So yeah, it was one of them. Yeah,
People love thrust as of my experience. Like it was really
yeah,
good.
that's why it's still there. It survived that event, so it's good.
And after other than these cultural and like social and academic activities, what were the like after at the time of your transition, I would say, what was the
Mhm.
main key point that like getting a letter of recommendation for like doing anything outside, was it very relevant at that time also? As like even master student, when I'm going for PhD, I need some letter of recommendation from professors if I'm doing it outside in US or Europe, I say. So is it the same
Yeah.
for like applying for postdoc and for jobs also as an academician? Like after postdoc, do you need letter of recommendation to join as a faculty?
Yeah, we need it. So, like, till you get a permanent job in Indian academia, you need a recommendation letter at every stage of your life. So, even transitioning from one postdoc to another postdoc, you need a recommendation letter. But it's not like everywhere. So, particularly in the Max Planck system, it's not always required. So it also depends on your proposal. When you submit a proposal that you want to do some work, it's regarding I'm not talking about PhD. I'm talking about the postdoc because I don't have any experience with the PhD application.
Exactly, exactly.
So the postdoc application, what I did in like for Max Planck Institute, it's very different for me actually, and I cannot really generalize it with the other postdoc in Max Planck. But for me, what happened is when I applied, I just got an interview call. I presented what I did in my PhD and what I want to do in postdoc. That was the all thing, nothing else. And then they funded it. I did not require any recommendation letter, nothing. But for others, I know that they do require recommendation letters, and it get evaluated too. And it is minimum two recommendation letter is required for postdocs, even in the Europes, but not everywhere. And there are exceptional cases everywhere. Some may have experience where they did not really require, or they may require one, or some may require three. So it varies a lot. Particularly US system, it is mandate. You have to have a recommendation letter. But in European system, I think it's very pretty much flexible about like recommendations and also with the interaction that you have with faculty. If they are confident enough about you, they really don't want to know anything else from your supervisor or anyone else.
So, among all of this, like how
Yeah.
are you managing right now? How would you compare that? It is anywhere like we all know that if we transfer to any like European country, the quality of life increases, or compared to India. So what would you say? Like the is it very is it compromising to your social health? The quality of increase of your quality of in increase of your quality of life. Does it compromise to social health somewhere compared to Indian environment?
Yeah, for me, I will always like see these are the very person specific questions. Like every person will have very different experience,
Hmm.
and it also depends on what they had experience in their past. Like particularly living in India,
Hmm.
everyone has a very different experience because very diverse culture, different background, financial conditions is very different for each student.
Hmm. Hmm.
So depending on that, for some people the quality of life will increase in Europe. For some people, not. It also depends on the factor what you consider quality of life. So for each person, it will be different.
For
So
you
it's
specifically, how
better
is it
not.
like?
Yeah. For me, it's really not increased.
Okay.
It did not really increased for me. So it was like pretty similar, but my social life decreased. So overall, I would say no, it was not really good experience.
Hmm.
So moving abroad, it was the mandate that Indian academia has given me. That's oh no, you really need to go outside, get exposure, get this done, have a collaboration, show us that you can work independently, show us this happened. You can do the research works without your PhD supervisor support. These are the mandate which really pushed me to go for Europe, but I really never wanted to come outside India. I don't know, like before coming in, like to Germany, I was like pretty sure that it will not really be so different that I will be enjoying everything about Germany or Europe system. It's like who are travelers, for example, who are they want to just travels, but you also because you are academician, you don't have that much time to
Yeah,
travel,
you have
but
your
you
own
really enjoy.
responsibilities.
Yeah, so it's, depending on
Hmm.
each person's need and
Hmm.
things, it changes. Experience will change, and everyone have a different opinion about it. But I'm talking about my own, and it really did not encourage. Yeah.
So it is pretty same as if in India, just the also in regard you say that your social interaction decreased. So it was otherwise it was pretty same. So how many during this period of time in 3 years, did you travel in any other part of Europe? Like as we know that in European Union you can get a train and travel to any other country. Did you visit anywhere else? Like was it what was it?
So, there are two aspects of it again, as in like academician, particularly in earth science, geology, or archaeology,
Hmm.
you have mandate to do field works.
Yep, yep.
So, and this field works is both
Okay.
how you do it in terms how you manage it.
Hmm.
So every fieldwork can be extended for 5 extra days
Hmm.
within the funding of Max Planck. So you can explore that region as a tourist as well. So in that sense, I have traveled a lot for my work, particularly for my work. And in terms of vacation, I have traveled only twice. That to one in Spain, one in Italy. That's all. So overall, yeah, it's easier because if you are a traveler, you really want to explore and go to different country, explore different culture. So it's easier to be in Europe, in any country, and you get access to travel different parts in
Hmm.
train. But again, in train system, it's not that efficient. That is
Yeah, yeah.
said on paper. It's not that efficient. Sometimes you miss your connection. Sometimes you have to rebook tickets if it's a long journey because you want to travel using train for different countries. So
Hmm.
it's not that easy actually. It sounds like it's very easy, but it's not. Planning a train journey long, 13 hours, 14 hours is too much for European country. And in 13, 14 hours train journey, you have to change at least 3 to 4 connections. So you can't really think about it like traveling too much at different parts.
So
There is not direct, like very limited direct connection to somewhere. So
hmm.
minimum you have to change 2 times or 3 times, depending on, like, if someone is living in a Frankfurt, for example. In Germany, we have Frankfurt
Hmm.
is a major hub of the everything. So you may get for some country direct train,
Hmm.
but does not define every country, and that does not define whole Germany. For example, you are in Mohanpur, so you have to go take a bus, you have to take a local train, then you go to Kolkata. It's
Yeah.
similarly in Germany as well. So it's depending on that and how much you are keen to explore, how much you are curious, it will change.
Also,
But I traveled a lot for my work.
so like that's my question actually was like where did you like can you just name not like if you want to like where did you get to travel to and like explore as in your work itself? Which country is it?
Yeah, I've been for work. I have been to Roma, like Rome, and then I'm going to Vienna the on 13th or 13th of April. I've been to Australia. I've been to Saudi Arabia. So these are the countries. I went to Philippines. I went to Sri Lanka just for my work from here, based here. So the went to Philippines, Sri Lanka. I'm also going to Philippines again in July. I also became a visiting professor in University of Philippines. I'm teaching a semester course there as well. So it's online, but I will visit to take a exam actually. So I will visit for 15 days to take exams for the students in July.
So, being like a postdoc and also being a visiting professor there also. So, what? How do you get to like manage your? How does your institute? How do you convey your institute that like during your working hours also you get to travel there and like do the take be the visiting professor there. Like, is there any protocol or
No,
something?
no. So every institute will have their own protocol and different way of doing, but it's all because it's just like IISER system. Each Max Planck is autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like every Max Planck has to follow exact same protocol. No, it's not. So it changes a lot. It's very autonomous in that terms, and also depends on your supervisor or mentor. In postdoc, we call it mentor. So whoever is mentor, who will sign your documents, it depends on them, what they really want and how they think about you in terms of responsibility. If they think that you can manage anything, they will sign any document for you. If they think that you can't manage this much responsibility, they will say no, don't do that. So depending on that, you have to show that potential that you can do multitask at the same time. So yeah, but for visiting professorship, it's not on the payment basis. So you get only salary from Max Planck, but you do other works as well. Because I also wanted to get teaching experience. That's why I tried to join them for this one year like teaching like course kind of thing.
So, this is also based on like personal skills, as you said, like managing
Yeah.
and also being a professor there also. So, how does the experience right till now is for you, like teaching a course there? And what would you say the difference in the study pattern in the university there? If you compare it to like us undergraduates in here in IISER Kolkata. Like, what is the specific key difference that you see, or like in general you can see?
No, actually, the problem is very different in terms of IISER Kolkata and what I'm teaching at this moment. So the IISER Kolkata, we don't have in IISER system the archaeology program. And archaeology in India is not in only in most of the countries in Asia as well as in some part of Europe and even the US. Archaeology is a part of arts, not science, but archaeological science is a part of in some countries this is part of science. So when I'm saying that I'm teaching with the archaeology department at this moment, and the most of the students that I'm getting from them is based on they don't have really science background. So it's more complicated to teach them and have to be very basic, very fundamental, but it's really improving my own foundation, my background, my knowledge for my next future classes somewhere else. But it's very different because they don't have science background. So if I say any single scientific word, I really have to explain them as well. So I have to very fundamental, but also have to teach them in a specific manner so that they can think about opting archaeological science in future, so they can use it in this different discipline, and they can enhance this geology and archaeology boundary like division. Actually, it was very separated. Now we are trying to club it together.
So this has been, I would say that this was a very pretty good experience for you also, and
Yeah, it's really, really good.
so I don't have any questions more, so we can conclude it here. And thank you so much for your time for today. In the short time of
Yeah.
period, Sushant Bhaiya conveyed me the message, and very thanks to Sushant Kumar Sinha also. Helped me, he helped me convey the message to you regarding the interview, and I was very interested in talking to previous seniors of me. So
Hmm.
thank you very much again for giving me this time. I know you are very busy regarding your personal schedule also. I can get it from by talking to you all the 12 projects and being a visiting professor. It can how much it can be hectic. I myself cannot manage till now the total 6 of my courses. It has been very hectic for me also. I guess it is for all the students. Uh, mm, I can say that it
Yeah.
is a part of life. We can say that we get to
Yeah.
experience at every moment that we move on. So thank you, and good night again. So we can conclude here. And
Okay. Yeah.
if you want to anytime come, and anytime you are visiting India, please contact us if you want to visit IISER Kolkata. Throughout this time,
Yeah. Sure.
we are very sure, we are very much ready to welcome you anytime, and let us know. And thank you. This is Student Alumni Cell of 2023, and we can sign off.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was really great talking about and remembering all those fond memories of IISER Kolkata and from 2013 to now. Yeah. It was great talking to you. Okay, thank you.